Welcome back to the Bluechip Breakdown, Vols fans. I'm your host, Bull. We have a lot to cover in today's video. Number one, Dalton Knecht goes in the first round of the NBA draft last night to the Los Angeles Lakers. EA Sports College Football 2025 is releasing more and more information. And the more that they're releasing, the more that I'm seeing they're getting wrong and they're disrespecting our volunteers in the same breath. The NCAA has come out with a couple new rule changes that we'll be talking about. And I also want to talk about what college football coaches, what college football programs are doing the most with their recruiting classes. I think that this will shock y'all. But as always, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Let's go ahead and jump into it. All right, so first and foremost, Dalton Knecht gets drafted number 17 overall in the first round to the Los Angeles Lakers. A lot of us, either if you're a Vol fan or if you've ever seen Dalton Knecht play basketball, if you got to see him play last year especially, you understand how big of a steal this is for the Lakers. If you're a Lakers fan, without a question, y'all got the biggest steal of this year's draft and maybe one of the biggest steals in NBA draft history. He's the real deal, okay? He's about 6'5", 6'6", beautiful form in everything that he does. Why he dropped down, outside of the lottery, I really don't know. Some people say, well, maybe it's his defense, but there were some players that went before him, and their defense is nowhere near what his is. He does give effort on defense. He's not the best there, but who in the NBA plays great defense? There's only like a handful of players that are shut down defenders, but he can score his butt off. I know I'm talking about from the outside, from the inside, averaging about 46% from the field and about 40% from three. He can create his own shot. He can get to the basket. I think this is a perfect pickup for LA because they needed guys that could help out, that could score, especially shoot. He can do that without question. My biggest thing is, will, Braun and, will AD give him his opportunities to kind of create? Because in times whenever y'all need a bucket or, LA needs a bucket, I'm saying y'all, but it's going to be us now because I've always loved Braun. But now that LA has DK, I'm going to be a very big Lakers fan. But what we're going to need to do, I feel like, is give him some opportunities, right? Obviously, coming into the league, he's going to have to, get acclimated to playing NBA ball. But I think that he is the most NBA-ready player in this whole draft without question. Some people are speculating that, well, maybe he dropped because of his age. That could be it. But to me, it just makes the most sense. If you're a team that needs a good player, why not go on and get somebody that can contribute right now instead of trying to rebuild? That's just stupid to me. That's kind of like, backwards. But obviously with basketball, you could play for years and years and years. He's going to play for a very long time. His game translates and it will be, he will be very productive for a long time. But I think him going down there with a guy like Braun, one of the best basketball minds in the history of the game, and also with JJ Redick as the new coach, they kind of have similar styles of play. But I will say that DK is a much better athlete. He can create a lot more than JJ Redick could, but they will be able to find ways for him to be productive. I just want, as a volunteer fan, as a DK fan, for him to really get to shine. Sometimes with Braun, and again, I've been a Braun fan since he came into the league, he has a tendency to kind of, get people kind of pigeonholed into doing one thing. So maybe you could be a good shooter and you can get to the basket, you can kind of like create, and he'll just have you just be like a daggum spot-up shooter. We're going to spread the floor. I'm going to drive. I'm going to dish it out to you. You make the shot. We have got to be more dynamic with DK, but I think this is a huge, huge pickup for LA. It's a big deal for DK. Obviously, as a volunteer fan, I am upset that he did not go in the lottery, but I can promise you there's 16 teams that will forever look back on this draft and say, we made a big time mistake not drafting Dalton Knecht. All right, now for the NCAA's rule changes. The first one is something I haven't heard a lot of people talking about at all for whatever reason, but in my opinion, it's a really big deal. The NCAA will no longer be drug testing for cannabinoids. That's huge for me as a former college football player because several players would prefer to use cannabis products to treat their pain as opposed to, some of the pharmaceuticals that the team doctors and all that would try to give to you. And obviously, we all know at this point that it's a much healthier way to deal with pain. And as a football player, you're pretty much in constant pain throughout the entire year, but especially over the summer. It's hot outside. You're constantly working, practicing. Back whenever I played, you practice 2-3 times a day, over the summer heading into fall camp. And, I have a couple of buddies that were military guys, and they said that sounds a lot like basic training, just as far as the soreness level. And to me, it's past soreness. It's more like your body is raw. So it's definitely needed. It's long, long, long overdue. And who would have thought that pushing for NIL and things like this, pushing to get these players paid, would open up Pandora's box to get a lot of these very outdated rules changed. I love that. To me, that's probably, I don't know if it's the most positive part. Really, a lot of it is positive for the student athletes moving forward. But the NCAA, man, they've had several rules that has nothing to do with the student athletes. It's more about them power tripping. And I think that the next rule that is being changed is definitely just a case of the NCAA saying, hey, look, we want to stay relevant with these big time Power Four conferences, and we're willing to adapt, and we're not going to be power tripping as much. So the next one is just about there can now be, an unlimited amount of staff members with the football team that can actually coach these kids on the field. Why that was ever, why there was ever a limit, why that was ever a rule to me is, again, it's just about power tripping. But that's big. I think it's really big for our volunteers because we all know a couple of coaches that may not be the best X's and O's guys, but they're really good at going out on that trail and getting players, getting good prospects for us. And the same thing could be said kind of like vice versa. There's some guys that don't know how to go out and get prospects, but they're great as far as teaching and getting these players better. So people are saying that it's not going to change the amount of coaches that can go out on the trail, which right now it's 10 assistant coaches or it's 10 staff members plus the head coach. That's the way that I've been reading it. I could be off on this. Maybe some more information will come out. But I think that what you can do is you can say maybe there is a coach, we'll say maybe like a Willie Martinez that is good at going out on the trail. And I'm not saying that this is true or false, but maybe he's not the best at coaching these cornerbacks and safeties up. Maybe you say, okay, listen, we're going to hire somebody to do more of the on-field coaching and training. We just need for you to go out there and get us some prospects. Just focus on that 100% of the time. And I won't throw out any more names, but it could be something like that. That's just the way that I've kind of read it. There's no wording that I've seen that would contradict what I just said. Now, again, y'all, I could be off on that, but if that is the way that it can go, I think that that's gigantic for us moving forward because specifically, I feel like, cornerback safety is a place that we do need to maybe upgrade in a couple of different areas at, and hopefully this will help us to do just that. But y'all let me know y'all's thoughts about that down in the comment section. All right, now on to EA Sports College Football 2025, and y'all can see what I got up right here, right now. EA Sports College Football 2025's toughest places to play rankings. This is a joke. Number one, they have Texas A&M. How they got up there, I have absolutely no idea. Alabama's up there. They don't have a very rowdy crowd by any means. Then they've got LSU, who I think LSU should be a lot higher on this list. Anybody who knows anything at all about college football knows that LSU, the real Death Valley, especially at night, is one of the most difficult places to play in all of sports, period, but especially in college football. Now, I know what y'all are wondering right here, and you can see it down there at the bottom. Our Volunteers end up being number 13. So I think that this is a huge joke, and I'll kind of keep on scrolling through so that y'all can see all the rest of this list and see how much of a joke it is. But I think that this is a huge miss by EA Sports because they keep on talking about wanting to make this stuff as realistic as humanly possible. And, I think that they got a lot of the pageantry and stuff like that right. But how did they come up with these rankings? Maybe you could go by the decibel, levels, things like that. If you go by that, Neyland has the record for the most, or, for the highest decibels in a college football stadium with like 137. So we should have been number one based off of that. I'm not going to go too far into this because this is actually something that P and I will probably be talking about this weekend. But whenever you just look at this list, ask yourself, how does this make any sense? To me, what this looks like is somebody who doesn't know anything really about college football, just kind of, asked a few more folks, maybe some of their friends that might be casual fans, hey, who's a good, who has a really good stadium or who has a really good, game day atmosphere? And someone said, oh, well, Texas A&M is the 12th man. They've got like 100-something thousand people inside of their stadium. Yes, okay, that stadium might be top 5. Okay, I could give you that. But for them to be number one is an absolute and total joke. I think that for Ohio State to be in the top 5 is a joke. Georgia, that's a joke. There's no reason that they should be, where are they at? They're number 5. There's absolutely nowhere in the world that they should be number 5. Their stadium only holds like 88-something thousand. There are several different factors, and I'm not going to, again, I'm not going to go too far into this, but I do just want to kind of throw this out there. There's a stadium, or, there's a stadium like Ben Hill Griffin, and I know that we all hate Florida, but going down to the Swamp, that is by far one of the most difficult places to play. If you ask the players what they think, they will tell you it's very difficult. They say, man, seems like the stands is right on top of the field. It's very close. And also, I think that the stadium is made out of some sort of a metal or whatever. However it's made, that volume, those decibel levels, it holds inside of that stadium. So to me, this entire list is a joke. And this is the first part right here, something that EA Sports has gotten way wrong. Next thing is going to be right here with the offensive rankings. This is one of the biggest jokes. I don't think I've ever seen a video game, in the modern day era get something this wrong. And guys, listen, I get it. It's just a freaking video game. But at the same time, if y'all think that these kids that we're trying to go out and get to come to Tennessee don't pay attention to this stuff, y'all are very sadly mistaken. This is a big deal just for that reason. But also, how in the world do you have UGA as the number one offense? Who did this? Did they have any football people involved with this? Now, I heard that they were supposed to be having Pro Football Focus, helping them with the player rankings and things like that, or with the player ratings, things like that. You would, anticipate that the player ratings should have something to do with the overall, offensive scores, defensive scores, things like that. This is ridiculous. Let me scroll on down because I know I'm getting heated. Look, this is the top 25. Who don't you see right here? What offense don't you see? You do not see Josh Heupel's air raid, whatever you want to call it, veer and shoot or whatever people are calling it. You don't see our offense on here. It makes no logical sense. One of the most difficult offenses to stop in the history of this game. Now, I want to pull something else up for y'all just to kind of, speculate off of, okay, maybe this is why things are the way that they are. This right here is from Sports Reference, okay? And these are the top 25 offenses from 2023. So we can see right here that our Volunteers are way down here at number 37. Okay, I can understand that just a little bit, but like I said, you've got to take a look at the totality of the whole thing. You see right here, LSU was number one. How does UGA go up to number one? I have no idea how that happens, but let's take a look. Let's take a look real quick, okay? Let's switch it on over to 2022. Look at whose offense is up at the top. This should tell you a whole lot, right? This should tell you that, well, you know what? Tennessee does have a really good offense. And, maybe it wasn't just the offense. Maybe it was some of the players. Maybe you could look at, and I hate to do this, but maybe you could look at Joe Milton as a different quarterback, versus a Hendon Hooker in 2022. Maybe you look at it that way and you say, okay, well, what do we think about Nico? Oh, he's supposed to be really special. He's supposed to be one of the best quarterbacks in Tennessee history. Everyone's saying this, even Peyton Manning. So wouldn't you take that and kind of, say, okay, maybe this makes a little more sense. At least average it, something like that. They didn't do any of that. I could not be more pissed to see our Volunteers not higher up on these lists. I think that it is an absolute and total joke. And like I said, y'all, EA Sports 2025 got a couple things wrong. Hopefully they will be updating all this stuff as, we go through week to week. But this one right here almost makes me not even want to get this daggone video game. I want to know y'all's thoughts down in the comment section. And now for the last segment of the day, we're going to be taking a look at what college football programs, really what college football coaches are doing the best with the amount of talent that they've been getting in over the past couple of seasons. We'll be going based off of 24/7 Sports. The list right here to the left is the top 12 recruiting classes in 2025, according to 24/7 Sports. Those are the 12 teams that we decided to use in the table to the right. And this is ranked in order according to what teams are doing the best with the talent that they've been getting in over the past couple of seasons to the ones that are doing the worst. Now, the way that we came up with this number is in this box right here, okay, this whole category with the average roster from 2022 to 2023. These are the average roster rankings from 24/7 Sports. It's not necessarily their class ratings or rankings. It is based off of their entire roster for that season. And, we compare where they started off at to where they finished. And the average finish from 2022 to 2023 is based off of the CFP rankings. To the right, okay, that's the plus and minus. That's how well they did compared to how their roster started off to where their team finished. And based off of this list, Penn State and Coach James Franklin are doing the most with their talent. Our Volunteers are right here at number 2. UGA is very high up on this for me at number 3. I think that if I would have done this over the course of several years, it would probably look a whole lot different. I think the UGA is really underperforming. You see that they're already in the negatives. Now on to Ohio State at number 4. That's also that's a lot higher than I thought that they would be. Alabama at number 5. Now, all of this is going to be coming from, Nick Saban. And there's not an asterisk right here, but I probably should have put one there. But the reason that I didn't put it is just because I feel like Nick Saban is still going to be able to, be around that program, obviously, and coach. I don't know if he's going to be a guy that can really be out on the field and coach according to those new NCAA rule changes. But as far as I can tell, it seems like he will be able to. Now, on to Notre Dame, okay? They're at number 6. LSU's at number 7. Rutgers is at 8. Rutgers even being in the top 12 or even being on this list is outrageous. I don't see them making it to the playoffs at all. But it's pretty interesting just because, they have a coach right there in Greg Schiano that we said, we're not going to let him come coach for us. We fought tooth and nail to make sure that he wasn't around here. But it looks like he's doing a pretty decent job. Obviously not doing as good of a job as our coach Heupel. And then up under that, we have Clemson. They're doing a horrible job. I mean, I don't know why people are still going there. Big part of the reason I think that David Sanders doesn't want to go there, they're just not developing their talent. And something that I can say for all these teams is really going to make a difference with that strength of schedule. That's going to be one thing. This is not weighted based off of that. But also, each team has a different style of play. For some programs, having a really good overall roster might not mean as much. It's just having a good quarterback. I think that Tennessee is one of those programs. Having a very good quarterback makes a huge difference for us. And really, we would have been a lot higher if it was not for the way that our offense performed last season. It's not all on Joe Milton. I don't think that the wide receivers played well. So that's another position that could have had some weight to it. But we didn't do all that for this one. Again, it's just like a 50-foot overhead view of all this. And then we've got Oklahoma at number 10. They switched up a couple of things. Clemson switched up a couple of things. Really, everyone on this list probably have a couple of coordinators or something that switched up. The most consistent team is going to be Tennessee, as far as I know. Auburn right here at number 11. And Coach Hugh Freeze was there. He wasn't there for 2022, but he was there for 2023. So I think he's going to be able to get things turned around. I don't think he needs a whole lot of talent. He will be another coach that, because of his system, you give him a halfway decent quarterback with a halfway decent offensive line and some wide receivers that can really go to work, then they're going to be very, very good. They're going to have some extremely high finishes. We saw what they did versus Alabama and UGA last year. Now the last one being Texas A&M, like we talked about, they have a whole new staff. I think the Elko comes in, and he's going to turn a whole lot of things around. But I think that overall, y'all, it's a pretty good indication of who is doing the most with their talent. And back to our volunteers, if we want to end up, finishing number 1, just according to this, we would need to finish with the top 4 class. Will we have the opportunity to do that? We'll see tomorrow whenever we take a look at that big board and some more news and notes comes out. But that's it for this one. Please leave y'all's thoughts and comments down in the comment section. As always, please make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, share with your friends, family, and other volunteer fans. We'll see y'all on the next one. Thanks. Peace.